Hello, and a huge, warm welcome back to English Made Easy. I'm Eleanor.
And I'm David. It's so good to have you with us. Our whole mission here, the very reason we turn on these microphones every single time, is to help you learn English in the simplest way possible. We want to strip away the confusing grammar rules and the scary-sounding vocabulary and just talk. Talk about real life.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into a topic that is so universal, so essential, and honestly, so much fun: eating out. We're going to cover everything from the loud, exciting, and sometimes chaotic world of street food to that comfortable, familiar local restaurant you go to on a Tuesday night, all the way to those fancy, once-in-a-lifetime luxury dining experiences. This isn't just about learning a list of phrases. Oh no. This is about giving you the confidence to walk into any food situation anywhere in the English-speaking world and feel completely in control.
It's about more than just ordering food. It's about connecting with people, understanding culture, and feeling like you belong. Along the way, we're going to introduce some beautiful, advanced new words, but we'll do it so naturally you'll barely notice. We'll break them down, show you how they feel, how they sound, and why a native speaker might choose that specific word to capture a feeling or a moment. This is how you go from just speaking English to truly feeling it.
And here's our promise to you. By the end of this journey today, you will understand not just what these words and phrases mean, but you'll understand their soul. You'll know exactly how to use them, which situations they fit perfectly, and which synonyms you can use to paint a slightly different picture. You'll be able to apply them in your day-to-day life starting tomorrow. And please, as we go, say the words out loud with us. Even if you're on a crowded bus and you're just whispering to yourself, I'll be speaking with the natural rhythm of a native speaker. So mimicking the sounds, the ups and downs, is incredible practice. Ready to feel more confident the next time you sit down to eat? Let's begin.
So let's start where the real flavor of a city often lives: the street. Picture this. You're in a new city. Maybe it's New York, London, or Sydney. The sun is setting, the air is thick with sounds and smells. You turn a corner, and there it is, a whole line of food trucks and little stalls. People are everywhere, laughing, talking, and most importantly, eating incredible-looking food. It's a little overwhelming, right? Your senses are on fire.
Oh, completely. It's a beautiful kind of chaos. And the first challenge is just, how do you even start? You see a stall with a long line of people, which is always a good sign, and the smell coming from it is just heavenly. It's a mix of spices, grilled meat, and something sweet you can't quite identify. You feel that pull, that magnetic attraction to the food. You want what they're having.
That smell you're talking about, that amazing, powerful scent that fills the air and draws you in, there's a perfect word for that. The air is aromatic. Let's really sink into that word for a moment. Aromatic. It doesn't just mean a nice smell. It describes a smell that is strong, pleasant, and often complex, usually coming from spices, herbs, or cooking food. It's a word that engages more than just your nose. You can almost taste it.
I love that. Let's break down the pronunciation. It has 4 syllables. Aromatic. Aromatic. The stress, that little bit of extra energy, is on the 3rd syllable. Ma. Aromatic. Let's say it together slowly. Aromatic. Now a bit faster, like you'd say it naturally. Aromatic. The food smells aromatic. The whole market is aromatic.
It's a C2 level word, which means it's advanced, but it's not complicated, is it? It just fits. It's like the word fragrant, but fragrant is often used for things like flowers or perfume. It feels a bit lighter, a bit sweeter. Aromatic, aromatic, has a depth to it. It speaks of spices, of warmth, of cooking. You could say a curry is aromatic, or a freshly baked loaf of bread filled with herbs is aromatic. It's a food word through and through.
So you're standing there soaking in this wonderfully aromatic atmosphere. You've decided on a stall. How do you get the vendor's attention? They're busy, moving fast, shouting orders. This isn't the time for a super polite, quiet, "Excuse me, sir." You need something quick, friendly, and direct.
This is where you can lean into the energy of the place. A simple "hi there" or "hello" with a warm smile and eye contact is often enough. But let's say you want to ask a question before you commit. The most natural way to start is by pointing, gently, and asking, "What's the special today?" Or even more colloquially, "What's good?" This is such a great question because it's not just asking what's on the menu, it's an invitation. You're asking for their personal recommendation. You're saying, "You're the expert, guide me."
And street food vendors are almost always passionate about their food. Asking what's good is a sign of respect. You're trusting their judgment. Now, let's imagine the vendor points to a bubbling pot of something amazing. You want to know more. You could ask, "What's in that?" Which is fine, it's direct, but we can be a bit more descriptive. A great phrase is, "Could you tell me a little bit about that dish?" The phrase "a little bit about" is so soft and polite. It tells the vendor you're genuinely interested, but you also respect that they are busy. You're not asking for a full recipe, just the highlights.
Let's look at a good and bad example here. Imagine you walk up to a busy taco truck. A bad example would be to just stand there silently, looking at the menu, and when the vendor says, "What can I get you?" you say, what are tacos?" It's too broad, and it puts a lot of pressure on the vendor to give you a full education during a busy rush. They might just say, "They're tacos," and wait for your order.
Right. It's a bit of a conversation stopper. But a good example, you walk up, make eye contact, and when it's your turn, you smile and say, "Hi. Everything looks so aromatic. I've never been here before. What's your most popular item?" Or pointing to something that looks interesting, "Could you tell me a little bit about that one? Is it spicy?" See the difference? You're starting a positive, specific conversation. You complimented them, you gave them context, you're new, and you asked a question that's easy for them to answer quickly.
That compliment, "everything looks so aromatic," is gold. It immediately builds a connection. Now, let's say they describe a dish to you. They say it's a slow-cooked beef stew with a blend of secret spices. Your mouth is watering. You have to have it. The simplest way to order is, "I'll have one of those, please," or "I'll take one, please." It's decisive. It's clear.
But what if you want to customize it? This is the beauty of street food. You can often watch them make it right in front of you. Let's say you see they're adding a spicy looking red sauce to everything. You like spice, but you're not sure how much. You could say, "Can I get that with just a little bit of the red sauce?" Or if you love spice, "Could I get extra red sauce, please?"
Let's introduce a couple of fantastic, very native-sounding words for small amounts. Instead of "a little bit," you could say, "Just a dash of that sauce, please." A dash, it's such a great word. Imagine quickly shaking a salt shaker. That little bit that comes out, that's a dash. It means a very small quantity, added quickly.
I love dash. It's so quick and efficient. Let's say it. Dash. D-ash. It's a single short syllable. It rhymes with cash or flash. You can have a dash of salt, a dash of hot sauce, even a dash of milk in your coffee. It implies you don't need to measure it precisely. It's about the feeling.
Another beautiful word, even smaller than a dash, is smidgen. This is a C2 word that is just delightful to say. A smidgen means a tiny, tiny amount. It's an informal, almost cute-sounding word. You might say, "I'm on a diet, so I'll just have a smidgen of dessert." In our street food scenario, if you are very, very scared of that hot sauce, you could say, with a smile, "Just a smidgen of the hot sauce, please."
Let's practice that one. Smidgen. Smidgen. 2 syllables. The stress is on the first syllable. Smidgen. It's a fun word. It almost sounds as small as it is. It's like a tiny pinch. A synonym might be a tiny bit or an iota, but smidgen has a warmth and personality that those words lack.
So you could say, "Could I have one taco but with just a smidgen of cilantro? I'm not a huge fan." It's a very nuanced way of communicating your preference without sounding demanding. You're acknowledging the ingredient but asking for it to be almost non-existent. It shows a real command of the language.
Absolutely. Now let's flip it. What if you want more of something? You see them scooping rice into a bowl and you are starving. You could say extra, which is perfectly fine. Can I get extra rice? But if you want to be more descriptive, you could use the word heaping, as in, can I get a heaping scoop of rice? A heaping scoop means the scoop is so full that the rice is piled up over the top. It's an image, a mound.
It's a wonderful word. Heaping. He-ping. The stress is on that first syllable, he. It comes from the word heap, which is a messy pile of something. So a heaping spoonful is a spoonful that has a whole pile on top of it. It's a word that suggests generosity and abundance. It's a very positive and enthusiastic way to ask for more.
Imagine the difference. Can I have more rice? Is a simple request, but wow, that looks amazing. Could I get a heaping portion of that, please? Is a compliment and a request rolled into one. It tells the vendor that you are incredibly excited about their food. You can already feel how these specific words change the entire interaction, can't you? You're not just a tourist pointing at food, you're a person engaging with another person about something they've created.
It's all about building that bridge. Now, what about ingredients you can't see? Let's say you have an allergy or you're a vegetarian. This is really important. You need to be very clear. A good, direct, and polite way to ask is, I have a nut allergy. Does this dish contain any nuts? Be direct and start with the most important information, the allergy.
Or if you're a vegetarian, you can say, is this dish vegetarian? Or to be more specific, does it have any meat or fish in it? Don't be shy about this. Your health and your dietary needs are important. If you're not sure they understood, you can rephrase. So, to be clear, no meat at all? It's better to ask twice and be safe than to have a problem later.
Let's talk about spiciness again, because it's so common with street food. Asking, is it spicy, can be tricky because spicy means different things to different people. A vendor who eats spicy food all day might say, no, it's not spicy, but for you, it could be incredibly hot.
This is where a scale can be really helpful. You can ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how spicy is it? This gives you a much better frame of reference. Or you can compare it to your own tolerance. You could say, I like a little bit of spice, but not too much. Do you think this would be okay for me? This again invites their expert opinion and creates a helpful dialogue. And let's say they offer different levels of spiciness. They might ask you, do you want it mild, medium, or hot? Let's introduce a more advanced word for hot here, especially for food, fiery. It means exactly what it sounds like fire. It's not just spicy, it's intensely, aggressively hot.
Oh, fiery is the perfect word. Fiery. Fiery. The stress is on that first part, fire. It's a word you use when you want to warn someone. Be careful, that green sauce is fiery. It's a step above hot. If something is hot, it might make you sweat. If something is fiery, it might make you cry.
Exactly. So if you are a true spice lover, you can confidently say, make it as fiery as possible, please. You are communicating that you can handle the heat. On the other hand, if a vendor describes a dish as fiery and you're not a fan of spice, you should probably stay away or ask for it with no spice at all.
Let's shift from the taste of heat to the smell of strong spices. Sometimes you smell an ingredient that is very strong, very powerful, but not necessarily in a bad way. Think of raw garlic or strong onions or a very pungent cheese. The word for this is pungent. It describes a smell or taste that is sharp and powerful.
Pungent. 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 The stress is on that first syllable, pun. Pungent. It's not a negative word necessarily. It's a word of intensity. A good blue cheese is pungent. The smell of kimchi is pungent. It's a smell that gets right into your nose and announces its presence.
You probably wouldn't describe a flower as pungent, but a spice market, absolutely. A stall making fresh curry paste, that would be incredibly pungent. You can use it to ask a question. That has a very pungent aroma. What is that spice? You are showing curiosity and using precise vocabulary to describe what you're experiencing. It's a sign of a sophisticated English speaker.
So you've navigated the ordering process. You've used words like aromatic, smidgen, heaping, and fiery. The vendor hands you your food. It looks incredible. You take your first bite, and it's amazing. It's one of the best things you've ever tasted. How do you express that?
It's good is fine. It's delicious is better. But we can do more. We can give a compliment that the vendor will remember. A fantastic word for this moment is scrumptious. It's an informal, fun, and very enthusiastic word that means absolutely delicious.
I love the sound of that word. Scrumptious. Scrumptious. 2 syllables, with the stress on the first one. Scrumptious. It sounds like what it is. There's a satisfying crunch in the scrump part. It's a word you say with a big smile on your face. Wow, this is absolutely scrumptious.
It's a word that expresses pure joy. It's not a formal word. You wouldn't write in a food review for a fancy newspaper that a dish was scrumptious. You'd use it in the moment, talking directly to the person who made the food or to a friend. You have to try this. It's scrumptious. It's a word full of happy energy.
Now, what if the food is not just delicious in the moment, but it has a quality that makes you want to eat more and more of it? You finish one bite, and you immediately crave the next. The word for this feeling is moreish. This is a brilliant, primarily British English word, but it's understood in many places. It means it makes you want more.
Moreish. More-ish. Stress on the first syllable. It's such a simple and descriptive word. Salted potato chips are very Moorish. Salted caramel is Moorish. It's that perfect balance of sweet, salty, and savory that just hooks you. You could take a bite of something and say to the vendor, "Ugh, that is dangerously Moorish." The dangerously adds a playful, humorous touch. It means you might not be able to stop eating it.
What a great compliment that is. It tells the chef they've created something perfectly balanced and addictive in the best way possible. It's a much more specific and interesting compliment than just delicious. It describes the effect the food is having on you.
Okay, so you've finished your scrumptious Moorish meal. You're full and happy. It's time to pay. At a street food stall, it's almost always cash, and it's usually a simple transaction. The most common phrase is just, "How much is that?" Or, "What do I owe you?"
If you're in a place where tipping isn't common, you might have the exact amount. You can hand them the money and say, "Here you go." If you need change, you hand them a larger bill and they'll give you the change. If you want to leave a small tip and there's a tip jar, you can put some money in. If not, and you want to show your appreciation for great food and service, you can hand them the money for the food and say, "Keep the change." This is a clear, friendly way to give a tip.
And as you leave, a final compliment is always a lovely touch. You've already told them the food was scrumptious. You could end with something simple like, "Thank you so much. That was wonderful." Or, "That was the best I've ever had. I'll definitely be back." Promising to return is one of the highest compliments you can give. It shows you're not just being polite, you genuinely loved the experience and want to repeat it.
Think about that whole journey. You started a little overwhelmed by the aromatic, bustling scene. You confidently asked for a recommendation, customized your order with just a smidgen of fiery sauce, and paid with a smile. You didn't just buy food, you had a real human interaction. You used language that was precise, warm, and appreciative. That's a world away from just pointing and saying one.
It really is, and you feel so much more connected to the place you're visiting. You have a memory, not just a meal. You feel like you've discovered a secret, a little piece of the city's heart. That's the power of having the right words. It unlocks a deeper experience. You might even feel that the food tastes better because you had such a positive connection with the person who made it.
That's so true. The experience of getting the food is part of the flavor. So before we move on from the vibrant world of street food, let's just pause and reflect on that feeling. Think about a time you've eaten street food. Maybe you felt shy or uncertain. Can you imagine going back to that memory, but this time you have these words? You know how to ask, "What's good?" You know how to describe the smell as aromatic. You know how to compliment the chef by calling their food scrumptious and Moorish. It changes the entire feeling, doesn't it? You're no longer a passive observer, you're an active, confident participant.
Okay, let's leave the bustling street corner behind and step inside. We're moving into a different kind of environment now, the local eatery. The neighborhood bistro, the family-run Italian place, the cozy cafe on the corner. The energy is different here. It's less chaotic, a bit more structured, but it should still feel warm and welcoming.
This is the kind of place you might go with friends or on a casual date. You're not just grabbing a quick bite, you're planning to sit down, talk, and enjoy a full meal. So the process starts a little earlier. For a popular local spot, especially on a Friday or Saturday night, you can't always just walk in. You often need to make a reservation.
And making a reservation is the key phrase. You can also say booking a table. They mean the same thing. The most common way to do this is by calling the restaurant. Let's walk through what that phone call sounds like. The restaurant staff will answer with something like, "Luigi is Italian, how can I help you?"
A great, simple way to start is, "Hi, I'd like to make a reservation, please." It's polite and gets straight to the point. They will then ask you a few questions. The first one will be, "For how many people?" You'd reply, "For a party of 4, please." Using "a party of" sounds very natural. You can also just say, "For 4 people."
Next, they'll ask for the day and time. For what day and time? And you can respond, "For this Friday at 7:30 p.m." Be specific. They'll check their book and hopefully say, "Yes, we can do that." The final thing they'll ask for is a name. Under what name? And you just give your last name. Under the name Eleanor. And that's it. You're all set.
Let's talk about a word to describe the feeling of a great local restaurant. A word you'll often hear is ambiance. It's a French word originally, but it's used all the time in English. It refers to the character and atmosphere of a place. It's not just the food, not just the service, it's the whole feeling. The lighting, the music, the decor, the sound of people chatting.
I love that word. Ambiance. The stress is on that first syllable. Ambiance. It's a C2 word that instantly makes you sound like you have a good feeling for what makes a restaurant special. A restaurant could have great food, but if it's too bright and too loud, you might say, "The food was good, but I didn't really like the ambiance."
Exactly. Or on the positive side, it's a small place, but it has a really lovely, cozy ambiance. Synonyms could be atmosphere or vibe, but ambiance feels a little more specific to a place like a restaurant or a hotel. It's about the mood that has been intentionally created.
So you've made your reservation. You arrive at the restaurant at 7:30 on Friday. You walk in and there will be someone there to greet you, usually called the host or the maitre d'. You can walk up to them with a smile and say, "Hi, we have a reservation for 4 at 7:30 under the name Eleanor."
Perfect. It gives them all the information they need in one sentence. The host will check their list and then say something like, "Of course, right this way," and lead you to your table. Once you're seated, they'll give you menus and say, "Your server will be with you in a moment."
Now you're at the table, you have the menu, and you're looking through it. This is where a lot of learners feel a little bit of pressure. Menus can be confusing.
There might be sections for appetizers, entrees, sides, and desserts. An appetizer, is a small dish you eat at the beginning of the meal to stimulate your appetite. In the UK, they usually call this a starter.
The main dish of the meal is called the entree. This is another tricky one because it's a French word. Listen to the pronunciation again. It doesn't sound how it's spelled. Entree, entree. The stress is on the first syllable. In America, this means the main course. Confusingly, in France, it means the appetizer. But in an American restaurant, the entree is the main dish, like the steak or the pasta.
The server, also called a waiter or waitress, will come over to the table. They'll usually start by asking about drinks. They might say, "Can I get you started with something to drink?" This is your chance to order water, soda, wine, or beer. A very useful phrase is to ask, "Are you still serving tap water, or is it bottled only?" In many places, tap water is free, so it's good to check. If you want free water, you can just say, "Just some tap water for the table, please."
After the drinks are sorted, the server might tell you about the specials. These are dishes that aren't on the regular menu. They might say, "Our specials for this evening are..." It's always a good idea to listen carefully to these as they are often made with fresh, seasonal ingredients. If you didn't quite hear them, it is perfectly okay to ask, "Could you repeat the specials for us, please?"
If you're feeling overwhelmed by the choices on the menu, a fantastic question to ask your server is, "What would you recommend?" Or to be more specific, "I can't decide between the salmon and the chicken. Which one is your favorite?" Servers try most of the food on the menu, and they often give great, honest advice.
Let's talk about a phrase you'll see on many menus: signature dish. A restaurant's signature dish is the one they are famous for. It's their specialty. It's the dish that they feel best represents their style and skill. If a menu lists something as a signature dish, it's usually a very safe and delicious bet.
You can ask about it directly. "I see the lasagna is your signature dish. Could you tell me what makes it special?" This is a great conversation starter with your server. They'll likely be happy to tell you the story behind it. Maybe it's a secret family recipe passed down through generations.
Now, what about when you're ordering for a group? Often people like to order a few appetizers for everyone to share. A great way to phrase this is, "We'd like to get a few appetizers to share for the table." The phrase "for the table" makes it clear that these dishes are for everyone, not just one person.
Let's introduce a lovely C2 word here, communal. It means something shared by all members of a community for common use. In a dining context, it refers to shared plates. You could say, "The restaurant has a very communal feel. Everyone shares plates." Or, when ordering, "We're going to do a few communal starters." It sounds very natural and shows you understand the style of eating.
Communal. Communal. The stress is on that second syllable. Communal. It's a word that evokes a sense of togetherness and sharing, which is a big part of eating in many cultures. So when you suggest getting communal appetizers, you're also suggesting a certain style of shared experience for your friends.
So you've ordered your communal appetizers and your individual entrees. The meal is progressing. What happens if you need something during the meal? You need more water, another drink, or maybe some salt. Your server is busy with other tables. How do you get their attention politely?
This can be a bit of a delicate social situation. You don't want to shout, "Waiter," across the room. The best technique is to try and make eye contact. As the server is scanning the room, if you can catch their eye, a small smile and a slight nod is usually all it takes. They will understand that you need something and will come over when they can.
If that doesn't work, a very subtle hand gesture is okay. A small raise of the hand, not a big wave like you're trying to catch a taxi, but just a little lift. A phrase you might hear for this is to flag someone down. It means to get someone's attention. You could say to your friend, "I'm going to try and flag down the server to get some more water."
Once they come over, you can make a request. "Excuse me, when you have a moment, could we please get some more water?" The phrase, when you have a moment, is very polite. It acknowledges that they are busy and shows that your request is not an urgent emergency. It really softens the interruption.
What if something is wrong with your food? This is a situation that makes many people feel very uncomfortable, especially in a foreign language. Let's say your steak was supposed to be medium rare, but it arrives well done, or your soup is cold. It is absolutely okay to say something. In fact, the restaurant would prefer you tell them so they can fix it.
The key is to be polite and factual, not accusatory. You can get your server's attention and say quietly, "Excuse me, I'm so sorry, but I think there might be a slight issue with my steak." Starting with "I'm so sorry" and "I think" makes it sound less like a complaint and more like a collaborative problem to solve. Then you can state the issue clearly. "I ordered it medium rare, and this seems to be well done."
Let's look at a C2 word for this situation. If your food isn't as good as you expected, you might feel underwhelmed. It means to be disappointed because something failed to make a positive impression. It's a fantastic word because it's not overly dramatic. You're not saying the food was terrible or disgusting. You're just saying it didn't meet your expectations.
Underwhelmed. Underwhelmed. The stress is on that last syllable, whelmed. Underwhelmed. It's the opposite of overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is when you have too much of a feeling, too much excitement, too much stress. Underwhelmed is when you don't have enough of a good feeling. You could say to your friend later, "I was a bit underwhelmed by the pasta, to be honest. I expected more."
When you raise an issue with your server, the goal is for them to rectify the situation. To rectify means to correct something that is wrong. It's a formal but very useful word. A good server will immediately say something like, "I am so sorry about that. Let me rectify that for you immediately." They are taking ownership of the problem and promising to fix it.
Rectify. Rectify. Stress on the first syllable. Rectify. So when you point out the problem with your steak, you're giving them the opportunity to rectify their mistake. A good restaurant will always do this, usually by remaking the dish for you and not charging you for it. So please, don't sit there and eat a meal you are not happy with. A polite, calm complaint is perfectly acceptable.
Let's imagine the rest of the meal was fantastic. You've had your entree, maybe some dessert and coffee. The conversation is winding down. It's time to pay. You need to get the bill, or as it's often called in America, the check. You can get your server's attention and say, "Excuse me, could we have the check, please?" Or, "We're ready for the bill whenever you are."
The bill arrives. Now comes the potentially awkward part, figuring out how to pay, especially in a group. If one person is treating everyone, they will simply take the bill and put their credit card with it. But what if everyone wants to pay for their own share?
This is called splitting the bill. There are a few ways to do this. The easiest for the server is if you can figure it out amongst yourselves. One person pays the whole bill and everyone else pays that person back in cash or with a money transfer app.
But sometimes you need the restaurant to split it for you. You can ask the server, "Is it possible to split the bill 4 ways? Or could we pay separately?" Most restaurants are happy to do this, but it's polite to ask, especially if they are very busy. Another informal phrase for splitting the bill evenly is to go Dutch. It means each person pays for their own expenses. You might say to your friends before you even order, "Are we going Dutch tonight?" Just to make it clear.
Now let's talk about tipping. This is so important, especially in the United States, where servers' wages are often very low and they rely on tips to make a living. The standard tip for good service is between 15 and 20% of the pre-tax bill.
The bill might include word you need to know. Gratuity. Gratuity. Gratuity is just a more formal word for a tip. Sometimes, for large groups, usually 6 or more, the restaurant will automatically add the gratuity to the bill. You should always check the bill to see if gratuity or a service charge has already been included.
If it has, you don't need to add another tip on top of that.
If it hasn't been added, you'll need to calculate it yourself. If you're paying with a credit card, there will be a line on the receipt to write in the tip amount, and then a line for the new total. It's a fundamental part of the dining culture in the US, and not tipping is seen as a sign that the service was extremely poor.
It's a lot to remember, isn't it? The reservation, the ambiance, the communal appetizers, flagging down a server, potentially having to rectify an issue, and then navigating the gratuity. But each of these steps is a small conversation, a chance to use your English in a real-world setting. You're not just ordering food, you're participating in a cultural ritual.
And a place with a truly welcoming, friendly staff will make all of this easy. Let's think about another word for that kind of atmosphere. A place can be congenial. This is a beautiful C2 word that means friendly and pleasant. It describes the social atmosphere. If the staff are smiling, the other diners seem happy and relaxed, and the whole place has a positive energy, you could describe it as a very congenial restaurant.
Congenial. Congenial. The stress is on that second syllable, congenial. It's more than just friendly. It suggests that the environment is suited to your tastes and your mood. It's a place where you feel comfortable and at ease. You might say, I love that cafe. The staff are so attentive and the whole atmosphere is very congenial. It's the perfect word for that ideal local eatery where you just feel at home.
It is. It's that feeling of belonging. That's what we're all looking for when we go out to eat, isn't it? Not just to fill our stomachs, but to feel a sense of connection and comfort. And when you can navigate the experience with confidence, using language that is polite and precise, you open yourself up to finding those truly congenial spots that can become a regular part of your life. Imagine finding your spot in a new city, a place where they know your name, where the ambiance is perfect, and you know exactly how to order your favorite meal. That's a wonderful feeling.
We've explored the thrilling chaos of street food and the warm comfort of a local restaurant. Now we're going to a different world entirely. A world of crisp white tablecloths, sparkling glasses, and hushed voices. We are entering the realm of luxury, or fine dining.
This can be the most intimidating experience for an English learner. The rules seem more rigid, the expectations are higher, and the menu might look like a foreign language even if it's written in English. But I want you to know the core principles are the same. It's about respect, communication, and enjoying a beautiful meal. We're just going to give you the specific vocabulary to make you feel like you belong there.
The experience starts long before you arrive. Reservations at these places are often essential and need to be made weeks or even months in advance. When you book, they might ask if you are celebrating a special occasion, like a birthday or an anniversary. They might also inform you of a dress code, which is a set of rules about what you should wear. For a luxury restaurant, this might be smart casual or even jackets required for men.
When you arrive, the building itself might be impressive. You might describe the decor as opulent. This is a fantastic C2 word that means rich and luxurious. Think of gold details, velvet chairs, beautiful chandeliers, and expensive art. It's a word that suggests great wealth and luxury.
Opulent. Opulent. The stress is on that first syllable. Opulent. It's a step far beyond nice or luxurious. It's about a display of wealth. You might say, the dining room was absolutely opulent, with crystal glasses and silk wallpaper. It sets the stage for the meal to come.
You'll be greeted by the maitre d', who will lead you to your table. The service in a place like this should be impeccable. This means it is perfect with no faults. The staff are highly trained, attentive, but not intrusive, and they anticipate your needs before you even realize you have them.
Impeccable. Impeccable. The stress is on the second syllable, impeccable. You can use it to describe more than just service. Someone can have impeccable taste or impeccable manners. In a restaurant context, it means every detail is flawless. The service was impeccable from the moment we walked in.
You'll be seated, and several people might attend to you. One person might fill your water glass, another might bring you a bread basket, and then there's the sommelier. This is the wine expert. They are responsible for the restaurant's wine cellar and for helping guests choose the perfect wine to go with their meal.
Let's get that pronunciation right, as it's another French one. Sommelier. The stress is on the end. Sommelier. The sommelier will present you with the wine list, which can be as thick as a book. It's completely okay to feel overwhelmed. In fact, you are supposed to use their expertise.
This is your chance to learn. You don't have to pretend you know everything. You can be honest. You can say to the sommelier, "We're not very familiar with the wine list. We're having the duck and the fish for our main courses. What would you suggest?" You can also give them a price range to guide them. "We're looking for something in the $50 to $70 range." A good sommelier will be happy to find a wonderful wine for you without making you feel uncomfortable.
Now let's look at the food menu. In a fine dining restaurant, you might not see the typical appetizer-entree structure. You might be offered a tasting menu, which is also called a degustation menu. This is a series of many small, exquisite courses chosen by the chef to showcase their skills and the best ingredients of the season.
Degustation. Degustation. The stress is on that third syllable, te. It's a word that comes from the French word for tasting. If you choose the degustation menu, you are putting yourself completely in the chef's hands. It's a culinary journey.
The meal will often begin with something you didn't even order, a tiny, bite-sized appetizer given by the chef for free. This is called an amuse-bouche. It's another French term, and it literally means to amuse the mouth. It's the chef's first hello, a little preview of their style.
The courses on a degustation menu will be small, but each one will be a work of art. The flavors will be complex and layered. A word to describe a person who has a very refined and knowledgeable appreciation for food and drink is gourmand. While sometimes it can mean someone who eats a lot, in a fine dining context, it refers to someone who truly savors and understands food.
A similar but slightly different word is gourmet. Gourmet can be an adjective, a gourmet meal, or a noun, a person who is a gourmet. It suggests a high level of quality and sophistication. But a person with a truly refined palate, which is your sense of taste and your ability to distinguish different flavors, might be called a discerning diner.
I like that word, discerning. Discerning. It means having or showing good judgment. A discerning customer is someone who knows what they want and can recognize high quality. You might say, "This restaurant is popular with a very discerning clientele." It means the customers are knowledgeable and have high standards.
As the dishes are brought to your table, the server will explain each one in detail. They might talk about the ingredients, where they came from, and how the dish was prepared. They might use a word like terroir. This is a fascinating concept, again from French, most often used with wine. It means the complete natural environment in which a particular wine is produced, including factors such as the soil, topography, and climate. It's the idea that you can taste the place in the product.
But it's now being used more broadly for food, too. A chef might talk about the terroir of their vegetables, meaning how the specific soil and climate of the farm they came from influenced their flavor. It's a word that speaks to a deep connection between the food and the land it came from. It shows a level of care and thought that is central to fine dining.
Throughout the meal, the service should be unobtrusive. This is a key characteristic of impeccable service. It means the staff are always there when you need them, but they are never in the way.
They move quietly and efficiently. Your water glass is magically refilled, crumbs are silently cleared from the table, but you barely notice them doing it.
Unobtrusive. Unobtrusive. The stress is on the third syllable. It's the opposite of intrusive or interfering. It's a dance of perfect timing and awareness. Good fine dining service is an art form in itself.
Now let's talk about how you describe the food. Delicious feels a little too simple for a dish that a chef has spent days or even weeks developing. You need a higher level of vocabulary to match the experience. If a dish is truly exceptional, you could describe it as sublime. This word means of such excellence or beauty as to inspire great admiration or awe.
Sublime. Sublime. It's a powerful word. It suggests the food is so good, it's almost a spiritual experience. It's a huge compliment. You might say the combination of flavors in that dessert was absolutely sublime.
Another beautiful word is ethereal. It means extremely delicate and light in a way that seems too perfect for this world. You might use this to describe a very light foam, a delicate mousse, or a flavor that is incredibly subtle but beautiful. The texture of the fish was so light and delicate, it was almost ethereal.
Ethereal. Ethereal. The stress is on the second syllable. Ethereal. It's a word that suggests something heavenly or otherworldly. It's for food that feels weightless and incredibly refined.
What if you want to complement the way different flavors work together? A great word for this is harmonious. Just like in music, where different notes create a beautiful chord, in food, different ingredients can create a harmonious dish. It means all the elements are in perfect balance. The sweetness of the fruit and the saltiness of the cheese were perfectly harmonious.
This kind of specific, elevated vocabulary shows a deep appreciation for the chef's artistry. Instead of just saying, I liked it, you are explaining why you liked it. You're analyzing the texture, the balance of flavors, the overall impression.
During this whole experience, there is a certain set of social rules or etiquette you're expected to follow. This is known as decorum. It means behavior in keeping with good taste and propriety. This includes things like not speaking too loudly, putting your napkin on your lap, and knowing which fork to use for which course.
Making a mistake in etiquette is sometimes called a faux pas. This is, yet again, a French term meaning an embarrassing or tactless act or remark in a social situation. For example, answering your phone and having a loud conversation in an opulent, quiet dining room would be a major faux pas.
But please, don't let the fear of a faux pas ruin your experience. Most of it is just common sense and being considerate of others. And the staff are there to guide you. If you're unsure about something, it's always better to ask quietly than to guess and feel uncomfortable.
Before we finish, let's just take a breath together and really sink into what we've learned. We've just shared a huge meal of words, and now it's time to digest. We introduced some truly beautiful, powerful vocabulary, and our biggest hope is that you don't see it as a list to be memorized for a test. Think of these words as a linguistic toolkit. You don't need every tool for every job, but knowing exactly which tool to use and why makes you a much more skillful communicator.
That is the perfect way to put it, David. It's about having the right tool for the right moment. So let's just talk about them one more time, not as a lecture, but as a cool-down chat. Let's open up that toolkit and look at our tools again. Let's start with the words we use just to describe the feeling of a place. We began with ambiance, which is that wonderful, all-purpose word for the overall mood, right? It's the combination of the lighting, the music, the decor, the whole vibe of a room.
Exactly, it's the big picture. But then we got more specific, more precise. Remember congenial? That's a tool you use when the atmosphere is warm because of the people. It's about the social feeling. A quiet, minimalist cafe might have a calm ambiance,
but you probably wouldn't call it congenial unless the staff and customers were especially friendly and pleasant. A pub where strangers are laughing together and the bartender knows everyone's name, that has a congenial atmosphere. It's a word that feels like a hug.
And then we have the tool for the other extreme, opulent. You feel the difference in your bones, don't you? An opulent hotel lobby isn't trying to hug you, it's trying to impress you. It's a visual statement of wealth and luxury: velvet, gold, marble, chandeliers. So you have three distinct tools just for the room: ambiance for the general mood, congenial for the human warmth, and opulent for the luxurious grandeur. Each one tells a completely different story before you've even seen a menu.
It's so true. It's about choosing the most precise tool for the job. Now let's move from the room to the food itself, starting with our noses. We made a really important distinction between two powerful words for smells: aromatic and pungent. Both describe strong smells, but they feel so different, and using the right one shows a real command of the language.
They really do. Aromatic is almost always a welcoming smell. It's the complex, warm, and inviting scent of spices simmering in a curry or herbs baking into bread in the oven. It's a smell that pulls you in, that makes your stomach rumble in a good way. It tells a story of different ingredients working together to create something delicious. It's a gentle, complex invitation.
Whereas pungent is a smell that announces itself. It's sharp, it's intense, it gets right into your senses. Think of the powerful smell of fresh raw garlic when you chop it, a strong blue cheese, or a jar of kimchi. It's not necessarily a bad smell. A pungent cheese can be incredible, but it is an assertive one. It doesn't invite you in, it tells you exactly what it is with no apologies. If an aromatic smell whispers, "Come closer," a pungent smell shouts, "Here I am."
I love that distinction. And that precision carries over into how we describe taste. We talked about a whole range of compliments, each with its own special flavor. For pure, simple joy, we have scrumptious. It's an informal, happy word. A perfect piece of homemade chocolate cake is scrumptious. The best, crispiest French fries you've ever had are scrumptious. It's a word that makes you smile when you say it, full of simple, enthusiastic pleasure.
And right next to that is Moorish. This word is so clever because it describes the effect of the food on you. It's for that food that's so perfectly balanced, usually with salt, fat, and a hint of sweetness, that your brain just keeps asking for another bite. Potato chips are the definition of Moorish. Calling a dish Moorish is a huge compliment to a chef. It means they've created a perfect craving, something so satisfying you can't stop.
Then we have compliments that are more thoughtful. If you describe a dish as harmonious, you're engaging your brain, not just your taste buds. You're saying that you appreciate the artistry, that you can taste how the sweetness of one ingredient perfectly balances the acidity of another. It's an intellectual compliment. A simple, delicious burger might be scrumptious, but a complex dish where 5 different elements work together in perfect balance is harmonious.
And for those rare, truly special moments, we have the highest forms of praise. A dish so exceptionally good, so moving that it inspires a sense of awe, can only be described as sublime. This isn't just for food that tastes good. It's for food that silences you for a moment. It's a word you might use once or twice a year for a truly profound culinary experience that feels like a piece of art.
And right beside it, for a different kind of perfection, is ethereal. This word is all about texture. It's for something so incredibly light, delicate, and airy that it feels almost magical or otherworldly. A mousse that dissolves on your tongue, a piece of fish so perfectly cooked it feels weightless. Calling something ethereal is like saying it's almost too perfect for this world. It's a compliment of the highest order for a chef who has mastered delicacy.
And we even gave you the tools for when things aren't so perfect. And this is so important for feeling confident. If a meal doesn't live up to the hype, you don't have to be dramatic and say it was terrible. You can simply say you were underwhelmed. It's the perfect word for expressing mild disappointment politely and honestly. It takes the emotion out of it and just states a fact. Your expectations were here, and the experience was here.
And when you voice that feeling, the goal is always to give the restaurant a chance to rectify the situation. I love this word because it's so proactive and professional. You're not just complaining, you're identifying a problem and inviting a solution. You're empowering the staff to fix it, which is what any good restaurant wants to do. It turns a potential conflict into a collaborative effort.
And finally, we talked about the human element, the dance of service and social grace. The highest praise for service is impeccable, absolutely flawless. And a key part of that is being unobtrusive. Think about that word. It means the server is like a ghost. Your water glass is filled, your crumbs are cleared, but you barely notice them doing it. They never interrupt a story or intrude on a moment. That is the art of great service.
And on our side of the table, we want to maintain good decorum. It sounds like a stuffy, old-fashioned word, but it just means behaving with good taste and propriety, respecting the environment and the other guests. It's about using a quiet voice in a quiet place, putting your phone away. It's the simple act of showing consideration which helps you avoid any embarrassing faux pas, those little social mistakes that can make you feel so uncomfortable.
When you step back and look at all these words together, you can see it, can't you? You have a complete toolkit. You can walk into any dining situation and not just order food, but truly describe and participate in the entire experience. You can praise with precision, complain with grace, and appreciate with intelligence. This is the language that transforms you from a tourist into a confident, discerning guest. And at the end of the day, a meal is only as good as the company you share it with.
And I know what some of you might be thinking right now. You're feeling that little spark of excitement. You feel like, okay, I have this amazing new toolkit. But right behind that excitement, there's another voice, a quieter, more nervous one that's saying, but how do I actually start using these words? I'm going to sound strange. I'm going to say ethereal at the wrong time and everyone will look at me. Am I right?
Oh, that feeling is so real. It's the gap between knowing a word and owning a word. It's the fear that you'll sound like you're reading from a textbook. Honestly, every single native speaker, when they were a child learning these bigger words, went through that exact same feeling. So let me tell you the secret to making these words a part of you. The secret is you don't start by using them in a restaurant.
Exactly. That's a high-pressure situation. You're with other people, you're trying to have a conversation, you're nervous. That is not the place to try out a new word for the very first time. The real practice, the place where you make these words your own, is when you are alone. You start by narrating your own life, even just in your head.
Yes, this is the most powerful low-stakes practice you can do. You are in your kitchen, making a simple sandwich. You open the mustard, you smell it. Ask yourself, is this mustard pungent? You taste it. You decide, yes, that is definitely a pungent flavor. You're not performing for anyone. You're just connecting a word you learned with a real-life sensation. You are simply building a personal relationship with each word. You are attaching it to your own memories, your own senses.
And what happens slowly and naturally is that these words move from the studying part of your brain to the speaking part. Then one day, you'll be in a real restaurant. You'll taste something amazing, and the word sublime will just appear in your mind naturally. It won't feel forced or strange because it's already your word. You've used it a dozen times in your own private world. That private practice is what builds public confidence. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. It really means a lot that you chose to spend your time learning with English Made Easy. If you found even one idea here useful, please give this video a like. It helps more learners just like you discover our channel. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss our next lesson, tip, or practice session. When you support the channel, you're not just helping it grow, you're also helping us create even more free content for learners all around the world. Together, we're building a community where English becomes easier, step by step. I'd also love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know your biggest challenge in learning English.
Your feedback helps me create videos that truly match your needs. Thanks again for being part of English Made Easy. Keep practicing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.